Greetings. Let's review a book.
These are all drums. Drums. These are all...
Today, we have Yoko Tawada's The Naked Eye. So in The Naked Eye, we have a story about a Vietnamese girl who happens to win an opportunity to go to Germany and present something based on her academics. During that trip, she's swayed, and according to the back, she's kidnapped by a local German and is essentially made into kind of like a sex slave.
Nightmare.
I don't know why I said it like that. So this young Vietnamese girl was taken and turned into a stay-at-home wife. So after spending too much time with this abductor, she ends up taking a train hoping to go to Moscow because she does speak Russian, but she ends up going to Paris instead. And in Paris, she runs into like all kinds of weird people. A prostitute, a doctor, a student theater troupe, a fellow Vietnamese person who helps her out. So what's interesting about this book is that it doesn't so much focus on the plot of where she's going, what she's doing, whom she's talking to, but rather it focuses on the dissonance she feels everywhere she's at. So this text is indeed at its core a post-colonialism text. So it's about the aftermath, those fringes of society that are left after they were colonized, and the after effects and the effects of the people that colonialism has taken over. Alrighty, summary's done. Not that exciting, except for the sex slave kidnapping part. Let's get to the themes. So, thematically, this book is pretty good. I'm not saying I like the themes of the book, but it is no doubt a post-colonial novel. So in this instance, we're given a woman fresh from Vietnam, a young woman, a woman ready to be molded into society, given the idea that education is the tool to get out. For the majority of the book, her phrases were always very minute. She'd have like one or two yes or no's, and then most of it was inner dialogue. So it took a long time before the main character could actually find a voice amongst the colonizers. Now there's plenty of post-colonial terms for all you literature majors out there. Capital malaise, colonial masters, doimo politics, of course, exploitation, freedom and independence, probably used sarcastically. Oh, here's a quote. "You should just think of yourself until you are free of your shackles," he said to me. I didn't know where he got the idea of shackles, as I hadn't told him anything about myself. And funny enough, the person speaking to her in that is not the one who kidnaps her. So we see this echo of oppression from her people, and it reforges into an oppression into her. And interestingly enough, some of that colonial oppression comes from her peers, folks also from Vietnam as well, who have kind of integrated into a more modern society. So if post-colonialism is your thing, or you really need some fat quotes to throw into a big research paper, this book is definitely one to show that we are still being oppressed. Now let's talk whether I like this book or not. Oh, I didn't see you there. Now, do I like this book or not? Yes and no. Funny enough, it's not the post-colonialism that's turning me away from this. It's actually how much the author talks about the movies in this book. So the main character of the story is a fanatic for movies, particularly just about one actress. And the author tended to spend a lot of space writing and retelling the movies, often trying to get the motivation as if the character in the movie was a real person. In my experiences, I wasn't too fond of people telling me about scenes from movies, whether they be comedy or horror, because they don't tend to do it justice. And I mean, eventually you just might see it yourself, and of course it's not going to be the same as a retell. I did find it was a drag to read. I will say the reason why the character does love these movies is so spectacular. There is a really, really cool moment where you get the reason why she's a fanatic for this actress in the movies she's always watching. And all the retellings of the movies and her daily trips to the cinema really accumulate to something special. Now for the reason I do like this book and will actually recommend it is because of the poetic writing in this book. There's so many phrases and minute offbeat sentences that are just so intense and so beautiful, poetically beautiful. Let's find some right now. At night I would sneak out of the house to return to the movie theater. I was like a boat adrift, and the gleaming marquees were lighthouses. Each time I blinked, her body dissolved for 2 seconds into colorful micrograins. Again, she references the movies a lot, but when she does have moments like that, even regarding those movies, I just think it does elevate this book to a recommendation. It was highly unlikely that my parents died after my departure, but when Ivan asked me why I never wrote to them, I quickly replied they were dead. The next day, I realized that a death can never be taken back again, not even a fictional one. At first, she tried with hesitant fingers to push my belly gently away from her. Then her fingers groped for my spine and read Braille. Whew. Oh, that's such a good line. Yes, Yoko Tawada's The Naked Eye.
It was a nightmare. 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 It was a nightmare. Nightmare.